Let's talk now about the Turkish angle. We have here in the studio Dr. Eytan Cohen Yanarocak, an expert on Turkey. We've been talking about Turkey before many times. We see the Egyptians trying to mediate. We see the Qataris there. Why is Erdogan on the other side of everything?
Okay, it's a good question. Mr. Erdogan is known with his Muslim Brotherhood ideology, and since we are speaking about the actors in the Middle East, we can also tag, unfortunately, Hamas as a Muslim Brotherhood organization as well. So in the very beginning of the war, he adopted a very balanced approach, but after almost 2 weeks in the war, so Erdogan had no choice but to adopt a pro-Palestinian / a pro-Hamas stance, and it's also because of the domestic Turkish politics. On March next year, 2024, there will be municipal elections, and he needs an electoral victory both in Istanbul and in Ankara, because both of the cities will provide him a very huge amount of money for his political campaigns, for his political party. And while the other Turkish political parties became extremely critical of Israel, in the first 2 weeks he was cautious, so he could not allow this to happen. And after 2 weeks he put an end to this normalization with the state of Israel,
right.
And he is now siding with Hamas. It's not only the elections, but it's also ideological. And since he was grown up in Islamic circles in Turkey, I'm not very much surprised of this U-turn that he ended this normalization with the state of Israel.
Try to explain to us. I mean, Hamas is a Shia organization.
Hamas is a
Sunni organization.
Hamas is a Sunni organization. Erdogan is also Sunni.
And Iran?
And Iran is Shiite.
Yeah. Right. So this is by proxy supporting Iran. Why would does he have a base for supporting Iran in Turkey?
No, Iran and Turkey are considered as rivals since their imperial past is dictating them. The Ottomans and the Safavids were always in this struggle of having the domination in the Middle East, and throughout the history we have seen that the Ottomans prevailed. And Erdogan, in principle, does not like the Iranian penetration in the old Ottoman hinterland, but on the other hand, he is a pan-Islamist. And when this organization, Hamas, a terrorist organization, is launching attacks against Israel, he is not condemning these as terrorist attacks, and on contrary, he's emphasizing and highlighting Hamas's activities as a freedom fighter organization, of course, from the Israeli point of view, and I must admit, from a civilized world point of view, of course, this is unacceptable. And despite the fact that Erdogan is not planning this strategy to please the Iranians, what we are seeing that their strategy is overlapping, but it's not conducted to please the Iranians. From Erdogan's perspective, this is a more Muslim Brotherhood oriented driven foreign policy, and if you're going to ask him, he would also tell you that it's a humanitarian perspective, since he's always putting the emphasis on the Palestinian civilians. But we all know that the Palestinian civilians are used by Hamas as a human shields, but of course he's ignoring this fact.
Normalization with Israel is all but gone?
In my opinion, yes. This is unfortunate. We do not have here the Turkish ambassador. Our ambassador is no longer in Ankara. And but still, in Erdogan's statements, we can understand that he is opening here room for optimism, let me say, for the renewal of this normalization in the future. And he is turning this into a personal affair with Benjamin Netanyahu. And he is signaling that if Benjamin Netanyahu will be replaced by any other Israeli political actor, then he might
he would have the option to change.
Yes, but the question mark is, whether the new Israeli prime minister will shake his hand. Of course, this is a huge question mark. And besides that, if you allow me, I would also like to highlight here another important issue. That recently the Turkish Foreign Ministry they offered their a new role for Turkey in the region, that they would like to act as they would like to provide a guarantorship for the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians in favor of the Palestinians, meaning that Israel and the Palestinians, and let me say, for instance, the United States administration and Turkey together, four of these actors will come together, will sign a guaranteeship agreement, and Turkey in favor of the Palestinians and United States in favor of the Israelis, they will protect this status quo, and thanks to them, seemingly we will have a peaceful Middle East here.
A wild guess.
Of course, this is a humiliation against the state of Israel, and of course they are also elevating themselves to the level of the United States. I think no Israeli government can accept such a formula. This is unthinkable.
I just like to add one thing, Jacob. I had the dubious pleasure of meeting Erdogan a few times when I was the chief of staff to the foreign minister. And I would say here that two things have combined together. One thing is, obviously, I always noticed that his hate for Israel, his really deep dislike for Israel, comes not from his mind but from his heart. He really doesn't like Israel, that's a British understatement. And if you combine to that what the doctor just said, that his deep belief in the Muslim Brotherhood, and we know that Hamas has operated vastly in Turkey, so the combination of the two has made Erdogan take it aside, a clear side here, and he would back this side again and again and again whenever he needs to do that. So even when there was a process of normalization, it was obvious that in the first conflict that we are going to have in Gaza, that we are going to see in Gaza, Erdogan is going to take sides, and the side is not for Israel, but rather against Israel.
Of course, he's the one.
Let me add a sentence, if it's possible.
Yeah.
In the latest limited operation, in the operation breaking down, the Israeli limited operation, Erdogan was again very cautious and very balanced, and since it was a limited operation, so he could live with the results of the operation. But since this is a full-scale war, so he cannot. This is the most important
meanwhile,
issue.
we see some action there against the PKK recently.
Indeed. The PKK, which is considered as a terrorist organization both by Israel and the West, the United States and the European Union, they conducted an attack against the Turkish security forces, 2 different raids. Total 12 Turkish military men were killed, and now Turkish army is retaliating in northern Syria, in northern Iraq. And I must admit that there is another, in my opinion, alarming issue in Turkey, that when I'm opening the Turkish newspapers, some of the newspapers are accusing Israel that Israel masterminded, together with the United States, these attacks against Turkey to retaliate against the Turkish pro-Palestinian policy. This is really unthinkable. I mean, maybe we are, you're laughing. I'm laughing, but I cannot laugh because, unfortunately, some people in Turkey, they really believe in it. And let me tell you that it's not only anti-Semitic newspapers. Today, for instance, I watched the CNN Turk TV, which is considered as a very respected TV channel, right? The CNN, Turkey's branch. They also openly, accusing Israel that we are seemingly orchestrating this terrorist attack against the Turkish security forces. This is unthinkable. These are all conspiracy theories, but unfortunately, the Turkish news channels are there. I mean, they are doing their best to tell their people these fairy tales. This is incredible. The level of anti-Semitism / anti-Zionism in Turkey reached to all-time high.
And as long as Erdogan is there, it's going to remain.
Yeah. Dr. Yanarocak, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.